Yeah, what separates good performers from high performers is one thing. The good performers are full of BS, and that is what we call belief systems. And it's negative BS. Whereas the high performers are full of BS that's empowering. High performers have four of these beliefs, these global beliefs, and they're constantly wiring them for success. So happiness, money, failure, and success. The people who outperform their peers look at those four beliefs continuously and ask themselves, am I saying and believing things that are helping me to achieve my best? And if they're not, often it's the thing that's holding them back. I'll be honest, I come from working class stock and we never had a lot of money around. But if I continue to believe I will always be short of $1 because of that, well, then I'll not strive to stretch myself and go for better career opportunities. So it's our beliefs that stop us from taking action. Who do you want to be? What does success look like? Okay, that person that you want to be, how would they act? How would they show up on their perfect day? Most people want quick fixes. They want hacks. They want to go onto Instagram and say, well, how does St. John do it? Okay, I'll just copy St. John and I'll be a success. That's not how high performers do it. And that's not how the psychology of success works.
What have you learned from working with elite athletes, prime ministers, deputy prime ministers? What have you learned? What has it taught you? Because often you're in the business of teaching them. What's it taught you? Well, this week, team, we go just south of the Tassie, that we call it over here. And I'm speaking to a lovely bloke by the name of James Laughlin. He might be known to a few of you. He's written a brilliant book. I'm going to do a terrible promotion here, Habits of High Performers. I'm going to get into that soon. He has also a brilliant podcast by the same name. James, you're in Canterbury today, in Christchurch. Is that where home is today?
St. John, I'm here at home, just outside Christchurch in a little town called Littleton.
Oh, good. So near the port.
Exactly.
Beautiful spot. Beautiful spot. So, James, before we hit the record button, I was saying, beautiful book. We're going to talk about that and talk about your career and all those kind of things. But there's very few books. I'm one of these guys that doesn't play Candy Crush on a plane. I go up and back to Aussie quite a wee bit, as listeners know. And I bore them senseless about that. And I don't usually watch movies and I don't play Candy Crush. I usually buy books. So I'm always perusing, if there's such a word, in the bookshops. And there I was in Queenstown Airport just a couple of weeks ago. And there was in Paper Plus your beautiful orange book, centre stage, and you bloody signed the thing. What? Who told you to do that? Like, I don't see that happen very often.
You know, I was in Queenstown Airport and a beautiful little bookstore there, and I was buying about 5 or 6 books. And as I was buying, I just said, hey, deeply appreciate you having my book in stock. And she said, oh, what's your book? And I said, oh, it's that one over there. Oh, would you mind signing a couple of copies? So I signed a few copies there a wee while ago, and I'm glad you got one.
Yeah, so good. And I hope listeners got a few ones too. So before we get into that, why don't you tell the listeners, like, a bit of your background? You moved from Belfast, you moved to Australia, then to New Zealand, and you started off as a pipe band, and you're now a world champion 7 times over. Then you ended up working with the New Zealand military, you ended up working with Canterbury Rugby Union, all these amazing people, and professional athletes as a high performance, as a mind coach. And how the hell did you make that jump? Like, that's quite a... Take us through that. How did you start from where you are to where you are now? Like, how did it...
Yeah, I get asked this a lot.
I bet.
Look, I'm arguably what you'd call radically obsessed. Like, when I find something I enjoy and I'm excited about, I'll go wild and double down and focus on that. So as a kid, that was drumming, and it was what kept me out of trouble in Northern Ireland. And let me tell you, there's a lot of opportunities to get into a lot of trouble in Northern Ireland.
The troubles, indeed.
100%. So my headmaster got me into drumming. At 13, I became the world champion, solo drumming champion. At 14, I won it again. And I seen that as my ticket to get out of Northern Ireland. And very fortunate that there was a couple of opportunities, one in Vancouver, Canada, one in New Zealand, and a little bit of an opportunity in Sydney, Australia too. So I took all 3 options and decided to check them all out, and started to help these bands, pipe bands, in these areas. Now, the one that really drew my attention was a band in Christchurch. They said, look, we want to be the first ever to win the World Championships from New Zealand. Nobody's ever done it. Okay, I'm into that. So I came in, that was the mission. It took about 8 years, and I ran the drumming department, and they ended up winning the World Championships. Still the first and still the only to have done that. Not my secret sauce, just, I guess, the fact that I was able to say there's 3 things, guys, that you need to do to win. One, you have to have a great high performance skill set, but that's not enough. you need to have a great high performance mindset. So when the going gets tough, you can actually keep performing. And last but not least, you need to have a high performance heart set, the belief that you can win, the belief that you can get the thing done. And it was only after, 8 painful years of trying to figure all those things out that they ended up winning the world championship. And shortly after that, I just started to kind of not get bored, but just started looking what else is there in life. Like, I've done all the things I can do with my drumming career, and I'd love to do something else. And I went to Sydney and to a Tony Robbins event. And about 6 hours into this Tony Robbins event, I thought, what the hell am I doing here? This guy's mental.
It's about 3 days non-stop for like 16 hours, doesn't it?
Yeah, 4 days in a row, 16 to 18-hour days, no food. Like, oh my God. It was nuts. But halfway through that event, I was like, I think I could do something else. I think I could help people perform at their highest levels across multiple industries using the skill set that I've developed as a drummer and as a coach. And so I just started following my nose. Canterbury Rugby picked up pretty quick and got me into work as a mental skills coach. And then corporates who were around the sporting arena started to see what I was doing there. They brought me in, and it was quite organic. And it's really just grown. So, I work with Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister. I work with Army, Antarctic program down in Scott Base, small business owners, salespeople, across all industries. It's wide spanning.
Amazing. And I love your trifecta of skill set, mindset, and heart set. We'll pick into that. So what have you learned from working with elite athletes, prime ministers, deputy prime ministers, military, all these wonderful athletes? What have you learned? What has it taught you? Because often you're in the business of teaching them. What's it taught you?
Yeah, I'm so lucky. I get to learn about all these industries, and I'm coaching them, but actually during that process, they're coaching me on finance and leadership, and it's quite incredible. So I guess what I've learned about them and some commonalities, they're radically clear on what success looks like. They just know exactly what they want as an outcome, and they're just obsessive with that outcome. They know why they want the thing. It's not just a nice to have. They're really radically clear on why they want it. And they're also clear, the number 3 thing is, I know what I'm willing to sacrifice to get the outcome. And I haven't met any ultra high performers who haven't sacrificed a huge amount to get that, St. John.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting. We had David Galbraith on recently, who trained Lisa Carrington and New Zealand Sevens and Wayne Smith from the Chiefs and Japan Blossoms, and he talked about it. It's like, what are you willing to sacrifice? Like, it's all very well. We talk about strategies. Strategies really just often labelled as, they're just actually just dressed up as goals, but there's no how. So what are you actually willing to sacrifice? So when it comes to teaching these wonderful institutions, companies, leaders, small business, everything else, you talked about some of the themes, but maybe one of the themes I'd love to understand is where do you see most resistance or reluctance to change? Is there a theme, or is there patterns there as well? We've just spoken about that, but is it identity? Is it narrative? It could be many things. I don't want to tell you what those are because you're the expert, but what is it that you see when it comes to people trying to establish routines, rituals, habits of high performance? What are the things that they resist the most? Is it self-sabotage? What is it, James?
Yeah, what separates good performers from high performers is one thing. The good performers are full of BS, and that is what we call belief systems. And it's negative BS. Whereas the high performers are full of BS that's empowering. So let's take an example. I grew up 12,000 miles from most listeners, if we've got some Kiwis and Aussies listening in. And so my beliefs should be different. So let's test this. And I'll even get you to test it. You and I didn't grow up in the same country. So I want you to finish this sentence off if you're listening. Finish it off out loud. And St. John, you can finish it off for us here. Money doesn't grow on.
Well, traditionally they say trees.
Right. So mind-blowing that no matter where I speak with hundreds of thousands of people in Australia and New Zealand last year, they all finished that off. And they said trees. Well, this is interesting. We're in different bloody hemispheres, but we have the same disempowering BS, this belief system. And all a belief is something we repeat over and over, or gets repeated to us to the point where we believe it is true, even without evidence. Most people that have, a belief in, say, God, they have not sat down and had brunch with that God. There's a belief, there's a faith that God is real. For kids, they have beliefs around Santa. And it's like they don't need to see Santa in their home to know he's real. Santa's real. So beliefs are anything that we repeat over and over. So high performers have 4 of these beliefs, these global beliefs, and they're constantly wiring them for success. So happiness, money, failure, and success. The people who outperform their peers look at those 4 beliefs continuously and ask themselves, am I saying and believing things that are helping me to achieve my best? And if they're not, often it's the thing that's holding them back.
Yeah, I've often had beautiful answers. I've often had guests like yourself say, actually what you have to do is stop and say, is this belief hurting me or is it harming me? Is it hurting and harming me or is it helping me? Is it hurting me or is it helping me? And sort of stopping this sort of narrative and this loop or the self-sabotage or imposter syndrome and everything else. It's sort of, but there's another thing here which I really want to ask you, James, about is I train rural sales teams, rural sales managers, and some parallels, but not to your giddy heights. And they know what they need to do, but they don't do it. So let's talk about the knowing-doing gap. I'm sure you've come across it. Like people know what they need to do, but they don't do it. Is it related to what we've just spoken about?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, your beliefs, if you believe you're big boned, you're more likely not to go to the gym. You're more likely to eat the extra bag of chips. If you believe, I come from working class stock and I'll always be short of $1. And I mean, I'll be honest, I come from working class stock and we never had a lot of money around. But if I continue to believe I will always be short of $1 because of that, well, then I'll not strive to stretch myself and go for better career opportunities. So it's our beliefs that stop us from taking action. You've got to first identify with the person you want to be. So rural sales, who do you want to be? What does success look like? Okay, that person that you want to be, how would they act? How would they show up on their perfect day? And that starts to become your Monday. How that perfect day for them, that's my Monday. And that's my Tuesday. So you've got to get the identity, lock it in, the beliefs, lock it in, and stay radically clear on your outcome.
Now that's perfect, except that they can't believe their way. They've got to take some action and they've got to be committed, disciplined, routine rituals. We'll talk about morning routines, all those things in a minute. But it's we're not selling the secret here or abundance or gratitude, and those are important. Don't misread me here, listeners. But James, it's important to have that BS, those belief systems, and running the right narratives or the right scripts, and they're self-reinforcing, like a loop. But they've also got to take action, haven't they? Or does the belief precede the action? How does that work? Because I'd love to know.
Yeah, St. John, great question. So I want you to think of BAB, the acronym BAB. So this is a psychological model. So most people want to start at the third letter, the last B, and that's behaviour. Most people want quick fixes. They want hacks. They want to go onto Instagram and say, well, how does St. John do it? Okay, I'll just copy St. John and I'll be a success. That's not how high performers do it, and that's not how the psychology of success works. Let's go back to the first B of BAB. It's beliefs. Rewire the beliefs. What is it I want to believe about money, success, happiness, whatever it might be? Okay, those beliefs shape your attitude. That's the A in BAB. You can't dictate your attitude any other way than through what you believe about the world, what you believe about who you are. So beliefs shape the attitude, and then that attitude dictates your behavior. And it doesn't work any other way. If you try to just go straight to behavior, you'll do it for a week or a month, or maybe you can scrape through for a couple of months, but you will not embed that. You won't believe it, and therefore you'll go back to your hardwired ways. So get the beliefs right. That'll shape your attitude, and your attitude will dictate the behavior. So beliefs are a bit soft for a lot of people, not very sexy, but actually that's the foundation of the DNA.
So then how does someone start reinforcing a new belief loop or a new neural pathway where perhaps they have been conditioned or socialized or brought up in a household that, didn't pay attention to them, or there was neglect or abandonment, whatever it happens to be that's happening in their life. And without going too deep there, I love this model of BAB, belief, attitude, behavior. And we start at the third one first when we should start at the first. But rewiring that brain is, as you and I, it's bloody hard work. And removing one set of beliefs and then replacing them with another, and then neurally wiring and the myelin sheath and all those kind of things. How do you even begin to do that? Because naturally, I suppose you've had to do a bit of that as well.
Well, and continually still, it never stops. Look, I think the key thing is for the listener that's 35 or over, just know that 95% of your behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, thoughts, they're hardwired in, and you just are on automatic. You're almost like a robot. Anyone before?
System 2.
Yeah, exactly. Bang. It's there, right? But we can still create new neural pathways. And we do that by trying new things, sticking to those new things for long enough for them to become habits. So let's talk about installing new habits to start with. University of College of London has suggested it takes 66 days on average to install a habit to the point of automaticity, the point where it's just automatic. So you've got to be patient. That's 2 months, nine-ish weeks, 2 months of consistent effort with a new habit. Some take longer, some take a bit shorter. But the key thing is you've got to be aware and then also have a system. So Dr. James Doty was a neuroscientist and a neurosurgeon. And he said, look, I firmly believe in manifesting. And to hear this from a neurosurgeon and a neuroscientist, like, you've got to be kidding.
It's a great combo there. Yeah.
100%. So I was like, I'm going to listen to this guy. Like, let me see what research he's done. And so he said throughout his life and with his patients, he has watched how the brain controls everything, all your behaviors, all your success and all your failure. So he said to rewire beliefs, easiest way, get clear on what you want your new belief to be. Let's take money. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Yep.
My new belief is money grows on trees. Money is freaking everywhere. Money is abundant, right? So he says, I want you to write that down first thing in the morning. Money grows on trees. Then I want you to say it, read it. Money grows on trees. 3 or 4 times. Nighttime, same thing. Write it down again. Money grows on trees. Say it. And then during the day is when you get to work. You go and do your work. You do your mahi. Like, you can't just sit in a mountain and manifest. You've got to start rewiring and then doing the work. And this research with people that have done this exact process, said it out loud, wrote it down, closed their eyes, visualized it, done the work. It's phenomenal impact and results. You can read one of his books, Into the Magic Shop is what his book's called. Cool. Really interesting.
On the list.
If people are into psychology.
Yeah, love it. Love it. A great book tip there, James. So I love this. So a neuroscientist talks about manifestation, and we'll talk about journaling in a minute, and repeating it and then rewiring your brain. And I suppose then saying it in the morning, then doing the work, then doing the evening, and sending your subconscious servant to work. The subconscious brain, Dr. Joseph Campbell, those kind of things going on. So listeners that listen to this, some of them will go, oh yeah, but James, this is great, got great credentials, but this mindset belief stuff is a bunch of BS, different BS to the one you and I are talking about. But there's still, how do you coach people that know they need to make changes and they're not making those changes, that knowing doing gap? And I think it's a curse of human nature. It certainly curses me. I'm sure it curses you, and it's no one's really immune to it. But the high performers know how to bridge that gap between knowing and doing. What is it that they're doing differently to the average Joe, let's say, that makes them bridge that gap? Because the knowing and the doing, there's a huge distance between them. Like, for instance, maybe I shouldn't work so hard, or I should read to my kids more, or drink less craft beer on a Saturday night, or whatever it happens to be. But there's knowing doing gaps, and I imagine even at the high level, that's still apparent. That's still a theme. Am I right, or am I completely barking up the wrong tree here?
What happens for people between, they know something and they're not doing the thing? Yeah. The issue there is hunger. They're not hungry enough.
Love it.
Like people like Richie McCaw, Sam Whitelock, a Sir John Key, if you want to take a political person, they were just really hungry to succeed. And if you're not hungry enough, you're not going to do the work. You're not going to sacrifice. So a little story. You have to help people find their pain sometimes, right? And if they're not in enough pain, they know they should go to the gym. They know they should make 20 extra calls today, but they don't fricking do it because they're not in enough pain. So you've got to take them to their pain. So a young fella comes to me, and in this instance, he was an athlete. But I'll be honest, St. John, about 5% of the work I do is with athletes. It's a small amount, and I do love it. But he comes to me, he says, James, could you work with me? Could you be my coach? I said, yeah, I could. I'll see you next week. I'll send you the invoice, you pay it, I'll show up. So he rocks up, and first question, I say to him, What do you want? He goes, I says, okay, we're done for the week. I'll see you next week. He says, what? He says,
It's
we're
a
just
very
getting
important
started.
question. Very important question. It's
I said, did you not understand me? Was it the Irish accent? Let me repeat it. What do you want? And he goes, no, I bloody heard you. Let me just think for a minute. I says, look, we're done. We're done. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
He says, James, I paid you a small bloody fortune to be my coach. But we're not done. I said, we're done. He says, James, I'm very confused. I says, yes, that's why I'm sending you home.
Yeah.
Think about the question. He says, you only asked me one. I says, yes, it's the most important question I will ever ask you. Come back next week and we'll see how you go. He comes back. What do you want? And he goes, to be a great All Black. Awesome. I can work with that. You know what you want. Anybody that starts with or they have no clue. And most of us do that. We don't really know what we want with our money, our relationships, our careers. Great All Black. Okay, awesome. Second question. Why do you want that so badly? Like, who in their right mind would want to stand in front of the Irish front row and get knocked over? Like, that doesn't seem like fun to me. He says, I'm passionate about rugby. I've played it since I was 3 and my granddad was involved. Okay, so it's really deeply meaningful. Awesome. Third and final question. I was thinking, this is the most important one for us to finish up on. He says, James, we're not finished. We're 5 minutes in here. I paid you for an hour. I says, mate, you're not paying me by the hour. You're paying me for an outcome.
Yes, exactly. Pay me for my impact, not my money or my time.
100%. I says, how much are you willing to suffer to get that outcome? He went, what? I'm not paying you to make me suffer. I'm paying you to get me to my outcome faster. That's what coaches do.
He wanted the silver bullet. He wanted the silver bullet.
100% he did. So I get a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I want to help him with his pen, right? I'm going to write down a number for you here, mate. And this is your lucky number. This will get you everything you've ever wanted. Read it out to me. So he gets the piece of paper and he looks up at me like he's about to give me a bit of a knock on the face. He goes, +61 44. He says, James, what is this? I says, mate, that is the phone number for the head coach of the Wallabies. I hear they're hiring and I suggest you go across and join them. Sorry to the Australian listeners, but I said...
They're touchy, remember that. Remember, it's been 27 years, so...
100%. And I said to him, mate, if you want to be a great All Black and you don't want to suffer, go and join the Wallabies. They'll have you any day. You'll walk straight into that front row. But if you want to be a great All Black, you need to be prepared to suffer and get radically clear on what that suffering looks like. Less beers, more gym work, working on your mindset. And he agreed. He did the work. He became an All Black and he stayed in there. And it's not my secret sauce.
No.
3 questions, that's it. And everyone that listened to this, please rewind, write those questions down and ask them of yourself.
Yeah. What do you want? Why do you want it? And what are you willing to do to sacrifice to get it? I think those are the 3 questions. And I think they're great because they're clarifying questions, aren't they? You know, like literally only 3 questions, very, very important questions because they can define what you're actually going to do and where you're going to head. And you know, what are you willing to do to get there? Because I think there was another person, I can't remember who it was, I read plenty of books, I can't remember all the citations, but no vision, no decision. You know, and I think what you're talking about there is just get really, really clear on what your vision is, and then you need to then go after it and make the decisions that are going to support that. So, Joe, beautiful, beautiful story on that one. So this beautiful book, Habits of High Performers, I've read a lot of them, BJ Fogg, James Clear, you can't talk about habits without James Clear.
100%.
The High Performance podcast, the UK boys, they've had a crack at that, and there's a few of them right behind me here, and your one is right up there. Like the frameworks, a 7-step framework. Like, how did you come up with this? Because again, pretty clear. Like that, how did you? I mean, you talked about the first step being get radically clear, which is I think when you spoke about the story then. But what about supercharging your belief systems? We talked about that. Lead your life on purpose. Could we talk about that? What does that mean? What does that look like? Could you unpack that for the listeners?
Yeah, of course. And it's interesting. Like I chat with a lot of other leading psychologists, you know, people that are incredible coaches, and we talk about, you know, who are we? And this amazing psychologist who I deeply respect says, James, you know what you are? You're a pracademic. I was like, what the hell's a pracademic? They're like, James, you've not sat at university and learned all the, you've got into the thick of it and you've figured it out. I'm going to have
to steal that one, James. Yeah.
So I'm a pracademic.
Love it.
I've just been in the field of performance and I have failed a lot. You know, people introduced me as a 7-time world champion. I said, guys, why don't you introduce me as a 14-time world champion loser? I've lost it way more times than I've won it, you know? We all focus on the success, but you've got to also understand failure to be successful. And so with my clients, that's all I'm doing is looking at what is it that drives them. So these 7 habits are born of the last few decades of my own performance, of working with high performers, of losing and of winning. So leading your life on purpose, I ran a podcast for about 5 years called Lead on Purpose, because I wanted to figure out what drives people. And there's a beautiful study called the Blue Zones. And there's these 5 regions around the world where it's a great book, right?
Yeah, I love it. I think there's been a Netflix documentary. Tell the listeners what this is all about.
You don't go to the Netflix documentary, get the book. It's way better. So it's these 5 regions in the world where there's a ridiculous amount of centenarians living there. And they're living, so people over the age of 100, they're fully mobile. They've got all their cognitive abilities and they're still giving back to their communities. So the study was like, well, what are they doing to do this? We all want to live that long and that healthy. One of the things that came out, there was 9 factors, but one of the key factors was purpose. They had a purpose. So folks that are listening to this, the reason that purpose is in the book, I've met many people who you would deem successful. Billionaires, leaders of countries, people running massive companies, athletes that are household names, and they're miserable. And they're looking for what next. And they don't have deep relationships with the people that matter most. Why? They've lost their sense of purpose. So to me, we've all got to have a sense of purpose. And it changes. Very few people have one life purpose. It's very rare. Yeah. It could be, as a kid, your purpose could be to give to your team, to make your school proud. As an adult, it could be to be a good parent. As a grandparent, it could be to be a good grandparent. It could be, I want to, be a great dog owner. That's my purpose. So it doesn't have to be saving the world, but the work that we do and the life that we live has to have purpose. And St. John, you know yourself, there's 2 things, passion and purpose. Passion is for you. Purpose is for others. So when you look for purpose, it's not about you, it's about others. Yeah,
serving others, exactly. Something beyond yourself, something bigger than yourself in terms of service. And the next one in the 7-stage high performance process is, this framework is multiply your motivation. What's that about?
Most people are looking for Tony Robbins, like in the morning, let's get me going. Like, we can't rely on that. That's jet fuel. It burns really quick and fast and then it burns out. We want slow burning fuel called desire. Something that burns and burns and keeps you in the game long enough to win. And so I look at, you got intrinsic drive.
Yes.
And you got extrinsic. My good friend Daniel Pink wrote a book called Drive. And it's all about...
the second book I read after Robert Cialdini. Yeah.
Brilliant book, right? I love his work. And it's the idea that we have these 2 different drives. And most people have a blend. But when your blend is out of whack, you struggle to get motivated. High performers are always tuning into what's motivating them. So let's do a quick story here. Air New Zealand.
Yeah.
You fly with them. Have you ever flown Air New Zealand, St. John?
I'm almost elite again, which is really worrying for my family. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sign you're in the air too much, right?
Yes. Well, reading good books, going to good bookshops.
Good man. That's what I like to hear. So you fly with Qantas if you're an Aussie and you get the status.
Or if you're unlucky, you fly with Rex. But anyway, that story is another day.
I love it. So you start getting the status, gold elite, etc. And they ship you a couple of luggage tags, right? Where do the luggage tags go?
Outside, not inside.
Right. So
everyone wants to see them because it's a status driver, right? And it's caveman.
Yeah. So some people put them on their bloody backpacks or on their laptop cases, and that's the only reason they want others to see. I fly a lot. I've got status, and you don't. Other people put them on their luggage that goes into the checked baggage. Yeah. And because if their luggage gets lost, there's an extra thing that could maybe get their luggage home. Yeah. The person who puts it on their backpack, they're not wrong and they're not right. All they're doing is giving me information. If I was coaching them or leading them, I'd go, they like status, they like praise, they like goals, recognition. If I was to coach them, I need to have a clear pathway for them. All of us are motivated a little bit by extrinsic, which is money, status, power, and fame. And all of us have a little bit of intrinsic motivation, which is doing things because we enjoy doing them. People who perform the best, so take Sam Whitelock, for example, someone who's the most capped All Black of all time. he had lots of intrinsic joy. Yes, he wanted money. He needed to get paid. Yes, he wanted some status, power, and fame. But that was probably 20% of his motivation. 80% was, my grandmother played rugby for Huanui. My granddad on both sides played rugby. One of them was an All Black. My brothers are All Black. Intrinsic, loved the sport, loved the country. As high performers, we've got to find way more intrinsic than extrinsic. It doesn't end up well if we just focus on those money, status, power, and fame.
I think that is a very important point for the listeners. What James has said is very important, because I think in this world, and I'm talking to younger generation, I'm sort of showing my boomer age here a wee bit, is like the external. It's all external. You know, it's the car, the fame, the G-Wagon, the Rolex, you know, all my North American sales superstars that I have to sort of go against rely from a tiny little business in New Zealand. And all this external stuff. But, you know, I've always said that the hardest work is the inner work. And the intrinsic is probably where you really get your value from, because I think if you don't have enough value on the inside, you'll never get enough on the outside. Would you agree with that? Or
100%. I mean, the soft stuff, the inner work, the soft stuff
it's the hardest stuff.
The hard, exactly. And let's face it.
Why are people not willing to do that work? What's going on there? Because I think you and I talk the same stuff, but in different domains. But people sometimes just don't want to go there. It's scary for them, isn't it? You know, because they've got to confront maybe their real self as opposed to their idealized self, let's say. And we're using a bit of psychobabble here, but
yeah, of course. I mean, they've got a mask, right?
Yeah, it's the persona.
Yeah, and they're living into that, and it's scary to take the mask off and go, "I'm scared," or "I don't know it all," or "I need help," or "Shit, I went through some tough times and I never really dealt with that," and that's why I'm addicted to scrolling, work, gym, whatever.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what's clearly saying here, and we'll get into it more, is James is saying that you have to be very, very clear on what you want. Otherwise, you know, it's very hard also to measure something if you actually haven't defined what it is. I think it's really hard to hit a target that you haven't even set. And then the next one, number 5, on this high performance beautiful framework, is it's just pretty obvious, isn't it? Do the bloody work. Do the work. Like, commit. And you talked about motivation being kind of fleeting, and you use the metaphor of jet fuel, like, because it just runs out, doesn't it? It just evaporates, burns out really, really quickly. But that commitment to doing the work, right? So that discipline of doing the work. And then focusing on your priorities as number 6. Focusing on your priorities. Tell us what that's about. What does that mean?
There's a great study of CEOs, leaders, and they were all asked, list your top 5 priorities. And 98% of them had family as number 1.
Oh, let's look at their diaries.
It's exactly what the study did. Looked at a time audit on their diaries and their credit card spending.
Yeah.
Awkward for some, singeing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's that beautiful. I quote this a lot. The Andrew Carnegie quote is, I do not listen to what men say, I watch what they do. Exactly. You know, if you want to know something about their if you can, look where they spend their money, most importantly, where they spend their time, because that'll tell you where their priorities are. So this is a study of Fortune 500 CEOs. They said family's their number 1 priority, but then they're away at conference playing golf, doing whatever. Guess
what percentage they spent with their family?
Can I ask? This is fascinating. They said, what was the percentage they said that family was their priority?
98% said family was number 1.
Did they ask them how much percentage of time they spend with their family, or how much they think? It's a bit like the driver's test. You know, I think I'm a good driver.
No, they didn't ask how much they thought they spent.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting,
wouldn't it? Because it's like, you know, in here in New Zealand, beef and lamb, or equivalent of meat and livestock Australia, they ask farmers what percentile do you think you are as a farmer? And 80% of farmers, sheep and beef farmers, thought they're in the top 20%. Math don't work. Don't work. So then, what was the answer then to the CEOs and the time diaries, the time audits? What was the
Give it a guess. What percentage do you think?
I would say busy CEO, VP, traveling a lot, 3 days a week. I reckon they would spend less than I would say they would spend 4% with them.
You're good. 3% of their time. Well done. So 43 minutes a day on average was what they spent, but that was their number 1 priority in life.
Number 1, yeah. So what we're saying there, incongruent between what they say they are and what they are, which is obviously, as leaders, that's something you've got to work on, isn't it? Because, you know, it's a lot of things, this is where we're really starting to wrap it, you know, sort of get inside the layers here, is peel the onion, whatever they want to call it, whatever they do. It's like we're getting to the nitty gritty here. It's like you say one thing, but you do another. And often I say to my managers that, you think you're appraising everyone else. They're appraising you all the time, a bit like kids to parents. They're watching you all the time and they're telling you, because where you spend your time is the biggest signifier of your priorities, isn't it?
Your actions reflect your priorities. And
100%.
I'll be honest, I've not always got it right. So sitting in Cape Town, South Africa, and there's an absolute superstar.
What are you doing there? What were you doing in Cape Town?
So my partner's from South Africa.
Okay, got it.
And so we're there visiting family.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Mandela and the work that he did. Amazing. So I was meeting with a bit of a superstar there who's arguably the next Mandela and very big influence in the country. And he says, I have a charity and we're launching a big movie next month. We'd like you to be the host. And we listen to your podcast. And I'm like, oh my God, this sounds phenomenal. Like, I'm delighted. Yeah, it's in London, England. And it's at the Spotify headquarters. And, the Prince Harry will be there. It's the night before All Blacks Springboks. We'll get you some VIP tickets. I'm thinking, my God, dream trip. It's a hell yes. So I said, look, yes, in principle. This is, what does that mean? I said, I need to check my diary. So I went and checked my diary. And same day in Christchurch, New Zealand, is my little boy's first ever school production. I'm like,
this is Finn, isn't it?
This is Finn. You're on to. You've done your research, St. John.
I'm trying.
You're good. So Finn's school production, he's 6 years of age. And I ring my mate, what should I do? He says, don't be a bloody idiot. Go to London, get to Spotify headquarters, promote your bloody podcast, meet Prince Harry, go for it. Yeah. Your son's 6, he'll never remember. Like, don't be silly. So then I get down to my decision-making filter. The decision-making filter is in the book, and I start going through it. And I get to the end of it, I get the laptop out, and I email this charity. I say, look, I'm so excited for London. It's going to be amazing. Sadly, I can't make it. I've got another commitment. And that was it. So fast forward a month, I'm sitting at the town hall in Christchurch. A wee boy comes in and he's dressed as a pea waka waka and dancing to cheeky little fantail. And I'm in tears, St. John. It was like, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I could be swanning around London. Nah, I want to be here. And I'm not saying that to say, hey, I should get Christchurch's Best Dad of the Month award, because I'm not. There's things I don't make, but the things that matter, I'm there for them.
You'll never get that time back.
100%. And that's me
I
going.
think knowing you and your pedigree, you'll get other gigs like that, no doubt, and I'm sure you already have. Yeah. But I think it was the right decision, but it was a hard one, right? And they often say the hardest decisions are the right decisions.
100%. And priorities.
They also say, sorry, James, one because I'm going to steal this pracademic from you, so I'm owing you one here. There's some reciprocation going on. Is they always say a principle is only a principle when it costs you money.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, what a decision! So you turn this all down to spend time watching Finn at his first school production, age 6, in Christchurch. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
But right decision. I look back on it and go, "Yep, I would never ever miss out on that." And priorities are meant to be difficult. They're meant to make us stop and ask questions, and they're meant to feel, if we go against them and we're incongruent, it's supposed to feel shitty. Yeah. And if it doesn't, then you haven't lined your priorities up right.
Well said. I think that's an important signal. I think that's the important point you're saying. It's signaling that to you. Take no shortcuts. Number 7. What's? It seems obvious, but like we said, overnight success is usually 10 years in the making, isn't it? As they say. But people, this obsession we've got, and I know you'd agree with me, around hacks. Get 10,000 followers, make 5K a day, AI, whatever it is, and some bro on the internet sort of, business and all this kind of stuff. But there are no shortcuts. I don't think there are any shortcuts. I mean, there's a lot of pain. We've just spoken about it. Pain's a great teacher, right? But there's no shortcuts. But people kind of, I don't know, they fall into the illusion that, sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it's very slow, isn't it?
Always. The person who takes the shortcut always pays the price. Full stop. In any industry, in any part of life, health, fitness, sales, leadership, it doesn't matter. You take a shortcut, there's a price to pay. And I look back at my career, and even arriving in New Zealand, and people are like, oh my God, James, can you just tell us how you did that thing with your brand and did that thing with your book and did that thing with Sir John Key? And I was like, I just played the long game. Yeah. I have no secret sauce. I have no magic hacks to sell you. I just was super patient, knew what I wanted, and kept chugging away at it.
And that took years. And I mean, obviously, you wrote the book in 2004 between January and February, didn't you? And you woke up at 5 a.m. consistently writing that book, didn't you?
Again, great research. Yeah, 2024, January 1st, woke up and it was like 5 a.m. for 2 or 3 hours.
In this very space. You get super busy, and it's the only time you're going to get the time to write to then get Finn to school and all the rest of it. And totally agree. You know, as one tiny author to a bigger one, it takes enormous commitment and discipline, and you have to block those boundaries, you know, and really, really, really be strong in it. I love this. I want to ask, I've got a bunch of questions here, but I want to sort of maybe go off piste a bit. James, who taught you how to be who you are? Is this self-taught, or like when listeners are listening to you, you're very driven, disciplined, very articulate. Where did this come from? Is this coming from your mum, your dad, or where does this drive come from? Because I think by my research, you're about 40.
Yeah, 40, just turned 40 2 weeks ago. Well done.
2 weeks ago. Oh, brilliant. So you're a fellow Gemini like me.
Hey.
Here we go. And because that's one thing I couldn't find out is your date of birth, but I knew you're 40. Born in 86. Like, first of all, what have you... Let's go this way. What have you decided... I find decade birthdays very very defining. And your mate, Dan Pink, will talk about that everyone does the marathon at 39 and 49 for the obvious reasons. They're defining decade birthdays are defining. What have you defined? What happened to you on your 40th birthday 2 weeks ago? What commitments, what decisions have you made to set? I'm fascinated by this.
It's so interesting you say that. So I've always had a number of clients want to come and get coaching with me. And the weird thing is they're generally 39, 49, or 59. I kid you not.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because the data is amazing with Dan Pink, your man. And I absolutely love Dan Pink. If he's listening, of course, James says hi, and you know you can come on my show, Dan, anytime you want.
I'll let him know. I had him on the show about a year ago. I'll let him know.
I'll wake him up. I'll wake up at 3 a.m. for him in Washington. No dramas on that. I've read all his books. But it's right. So 39, 49, 59. There's data in that, isn't it? There's a theme in that. And so why are they coming to you at that age? Do you think? I mean, tell the listeners. You and I know,
it's crisis. It's like, what does my life mean? Is there meaning? Oh my God, I thought I'd be somewhere different at this stage. And so it got me thinking. So for the last 4 or 5 years, pushing towards 40, I've been thinking, I don't want that panic. I don't want that, like, oh my God, the midlife crisis. So a friend taught me this years ago. BP equals LC. It's a formula for happiness. So blueprint, your life's blueprint is the BP. Equals your life conditions. Wow. And if your current life conditions equal your vision or your blueprint, then you're pretty damn happy. Yeah. And the thing is, you can change your blueprint any day of the week. So if your life conditions aren't matching up, you can lower that and it all matches. Or you can influence your life conditions and go, I should get to the gym. I should learn more so I can earn more and have my blueprint.
That should word, should, the judgment word.
Should heads.
You should. I love that. Should heads. I love it.
Yeah, there's lots of should heads in the world. Yeah, there's should all over the place. Heads.
Yeah, I love. Oh, stop it. I love it.
Yeah. So I started going, what's my blueprint? What do I want? And so I wanted freedom. I wanted connection with the people that I love the most. I've been through divorce, in my 30s, and I thought I don't want to do that again. So I just don't want to go there. Like, it wasn't fun, and I learned a lot about myself and others. And so I thought, I want connection, love, loyalty. I really want a business that makes a difference. And I want a business that makes $1. Like, I want to make good money so I can have freedom and opportunities. And so I got to 39 and a bit, and Caroline, my partner, says, how you feeling? Like, it's coming up for it. Like, cool, just a day.
Did you run a marathon? You didn't run a marathon?
No, I didn't run a marathon. Nah, no need. No need. Now, I took a month off and went to Europe and visited my mum, brought the family with me. We checked out all the sites. I thought, you know what? These milestones should be about celebration, reward, gratitude. Like, I'm lucky to make it to 40. Some people don't bloody make it to 40.
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, just be grateful for what you've got. And so the one thing I did set this year as an intention was to simplify. That's it.
It's funny. My 5 things, or my one thing, is do less better.
I love
it. Very similar. Because
you and I are brothers from another mother.
We are brothers from another, my friend, my Belfast friend. But like, where's all this drive? Where's it come? I'm fascinated because you're 40, I'm 52. Your maturity, your level of self-awareness is way, way above your age. Now, I know your prefrontal cortex has grown and all those kind of things, but Where's this all come from? Where's this drive? Where's this ambition come from?
You're very kind. Chatting to my mum about it. So obviously in Europe, having a lot of time just connecting. I don't see my mum often. There's years in between our visits. So we're just chatting and she's like, I'm really proud of your book, son. And I'm really excited about what you're doing for your work. And I was like, thanks, Mum. And so I started asking her about as a kid, you know, like, what was I like as a kid? I don't remember. And she went, you were just always really curious. Like, you were interested in people, like particularly older people. Like you wanted to chat to old people and you'd help old people out and carry their bloody groceries home and you'd ask them all sorts of questions. And yeah, so I just think I really love humans and I love figuring out how to be valuable. So I've got a journal, and in the journal, like I've got 2 questions. They're my dominant questions that just sit at the back of my head. And that's, how can I help? And what's the opportunity here? Because life sometimes turns to custard and you got to look for opportunities. And so I always want to see, like, can I be useful? Can I help? You know, I'm probably through my life, St. John, I've probably had a bit of a disease to please, like make people happy and keep harmony.
Where's that come from? Where did that come from?
Mum and Dad, you know, they had a challenging separation and divorce, and it was quite vocal. And it was quite tense at times. And as the middle kid, I think for me, harmony was important, and making people laugh and keeping everyone just, you know, keeping everyone just
on the
right.
level, keeping it balanced. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a bit of that childhood stuff that's came through, and at times, St. John, it's been really helpful. I can build connection with people. I can have conversations and be helpful. But sometimes it's at a fault where if stuff needs to be said, and people are acting out or being a dick, like I struggle to tell them that.
Well, that's unusual for a Northern Ireland. You know, you guys are usually straight up. I mean, I think sometimes one of my coaches said, you know, sometimes your strengths can become your weaknesses.
100%. Your greatest strength is your greatest weakness.
Yeah, and you can over-index on things. So you spend your whole career helping people get to their potential, habits, routines, rituals, all the things we, you know, just very lightly touched on. What's the area of your own performance you think that you want to improve the most? What's the one that you're trying to, not hack, but trying to improve? And again, we talked about being 40 and it being defining for you. You know, what is the area that you find hard to nail, perhaps, in terms of habits?
Easy question.
Because, you know, we're like Busman's Holiday or whatever it's called. Builder's House. Builder's House, you know, like, no, I'm always building people's other houses, but my bloody house is messed. Look at my bathroom, it's bloody, you know.
It's so true.
It is so true.
For me, it's longevity, right? So I'm 40, and so I've always thought, I'm young, I'm actually 40. So like somebody reminded me, he says, James, welcome to midlife. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm still a kid, man.
No, you're not. Ages.
Yeah. So for me, I know that for me to live a long life, I mean, I've had the world's leading longevity experts on my show. I know what it is. The longevity organ is muscle. It's muscle, plain and simple. I am built like a twig. I'm a leprechaun. Like, I need to put some muscle on. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is to consistently, you know, to get to the gym with my bloody schedule. But there's other things I could do. But I'm a shithead in this area of my life.
The shithead, exactly.
Yeah. So that's definitely the one for me. That's a focus. And I've got plans there, and I've got action steps around protein. I've got, when I'm on the road, I've got a system I use on YouTube, like in a hotel room with no weights, I can still do my thing.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would say that's the hardest one, St. John.
Yeah, because you're on the road a lot. So you're like all humans. You're not superhuman like you and I. We're all work in progresses on. What when you fall out of those habits, how do you get back on track? What's your reset ritual? How do you get back on track?
It's actually my journal that gets me back on track. It's my accountability partner.
Yeah. Can you help listeners out? Because rural folk, you know, men and women, they're pretty stoic, pretty tough, and they're like, oh, journaling, you know, that sort of sounds a bit wussy and everything else. How is journaling being so valuable for you, and why do you endorse it so much? Why is it so
quick story for the skeptic who I once was, Please. You know, growing up in rural Northern Ireland. Yeah. So I'm at a keynote delivering at a conference. So I'm saying, hey guys, you need to journal. Here's why. And someone goes, that's for 13-year-old girls. I says, who said that? And he put his hand up. I said, come on, you up on stage, mate. So he came up. He was courageous. He sat beside me. I said, look, I've got something to tell you. Now, the SAS, when they graduate, they get given a little black book called a journal. And what they do in there, they practice gratitude. And they practice gratitude because it allows them to build resilience. And so when the proverbial hits the fan, they've got this well of resilience.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a treat for all you guys in the audience. 3 people are coming into this room. They're actually 3 SAS troopers. And you, my friend, up here on stage, you're going to get to welcome them. And he's kind of smiling nervously. I says, as soon as they come in, all I want you to say is, folks, we're going to welcome to stage 3 teenage girls. Come on up, guys. And he got the point pretty damn quick.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So it's like a well of gratitude. So it's like a quarry or something when the shit does hit the fan, that you go back to it. So what do you do at night time? Do you do your 3 things? Tell us what your process is.
I do this every day, and I do this once a month. Let's get my journal out here. Where are we?
This is true, guys. Like, if you're watching the video, here he is. He's flicking through his journal right now.
100%. I mean, got to just keep it real.
No, because I've seen you on your socials writing your journal as well.
So this was the 1st of June. I sat down to review the month. So what went well last month?
Good.
And I'll go through like what actually went well. Start with that. What am I grateful for? So I'll write all the things I'm grateful for. So here I've got Air New Zealand getting me to Fiji and back safely. Caroline, my partner, being so kind and caring. Financial abundance, sleep, water, like some simple things in there, right? What did I learn? So these same questions, I'm asking these same questions on a daily basis. What did I learn? You know?
Yeah.
I learned a lot in this past month. What's 1% better look like in the month ahead? And, you know, for me, more stretching when I'm traveling, 10 important conversations this month. And then I always have an MVP. What's your most valued priority? What's the one thing that's going to move the needle? So I keep journaling, very strategic. It's very simple. It's tactical and it has outcomes. If you keep answering those questions every day, I promise you there will be positives. There will just, in the long run, there absolutely will be.
Couldn't agree more. It's like a muscle. You're working it out. Now, James, you have a podcast called The Habits of High Performers. It was called Leading with Purpose. And then Jay Shetty, is he your mate? Because he can come on the show as well. But he now has On Purpose. So you shifted to Habits of High Performance. It's globally ranked, guys and girls, in the top 2%. You're 383 episodes in, which is freaking amazing. You do a podcast twice a week, and you've done that for 4 years straight. So first of all, congratulations, James, because that is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And then you talked about 10 important conversations. Which conversations with some of your guests on your podcast have been the most, which are the ones you've learnt from most? The ones that I know that's such a hard question because there's been so many of them, but I imagine some of them would have stood out more than others. Maybe some your guests surprised you, perhaps.
Yeah. Nabila El Sayed, when I interviewed her, she was Nabila Extabalan. So she was the youngest female Muslim leader of Walmart. She was the youngest ever to get to the top. She was the COO of Walmart, and she was the youngest ever. And so she challenged me a lot on diversity of thinking of people. I find it incredibly inspiring, and it did change my life. Sir John Key, I've had him on the show a number of times, and just his way of looking at the world, fascinating. Steve Hansen, his simplicity, his ability to distill complex messages into the most hilarious yet powerful.
Like a pracademic.
He is. He's a bloody pracademic, 100%.
He's not a shithead.
No, he's definitely not a shithead. He gets on with it.
I bet he does. Ex-copper, they always do. I mean,
SAS guy, Jamie Pinnell, Serviceman J is his name of his book. Great book. Just the ability to focus on one thing monomaniacally, not take your eye off the ball and execute at the highest level. Like, he was really inspiring.
Amazing. James, thanks so much for coming on the show. You just, I mean, this book's right up there. We'll put it all in the show notes. What's the best way? You also, because you're such a generous soul, not only just coming from, is you mentioned there's a free planner or something, a resource that you can send people to. First of all, how do people connect with you? And then let's send them to the resource and we'll put it in the show notes. Where is the best place to get hold of you to talk to you about talking at conference or buying the book or the podcast or whatever? Because this guy's got like a shit ton of resources, guys, so you need to check him out.
Nah, you're lovely. Thanks, St. John. So they can find me on any social channels, whether it's your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. They can send my team an email, which is caroline@jjlaughlin.com. They can get the book at any good bookstore in Australia, New Zealand. If they're listening outside,
maybe signed,
if you're lucky.
Maybe not. If you're lucky, You'll be in the right place at the right time.
100%. Any airport store, Amazon, of course, if you want to go global shipping. And then, I've got a high performance planner that I want to gift every listener. And it's the same planner I use, the same planner that all of my clients use. They've just got to go to jjlaughlin.com/planner. And I'll make sure the team sends that, and you can pop it in the show notes if you wish.
You're an absolute legend, James. Last selfish questions, because now you got to go. This is my selfish question. So remember, I've been serving everyone else, and now I'm going to be selfish. So I've been serving, now I'm going to be selfish. Selfless, now selfish. What have you learned about interviewing on your podcast that you wish you'd learned at episode 1? What have you learned?
This is a great question. I
told you it was selfish because it's...
This is good. No, St. John, this is great. I'm not going to name the guest, but...
No, we'll be kind.
There was a guest I really, really wanted to interview, and he was a huge deal, globally known, and I thought if I could ever land him, I'd be delighted. So I land him, and I've got 30 minutes. That's max 30 minutes. Jeez, it's not long. Mm-hmm. So I asked the first question. I say, it was something along the lines of, so how do you define leadership? And then it was just silence. And I thought, I'll leave it for 10 seconds because he must be thinking. And then I thought, are you there? Your screen's frozen
or something. Yeah.
He went, oh, I'm here. He said, James, you've got 30 minutes to interview me. How about you ask me a decent question?
Fair enough.
And my face just goes like bright red. I'm like, oh my God. He says, James, why ask me a vague question with some vague open answer that I'm going to give you? He's like, how about you get real specific? And I was like, I took a breath. He says, don't worry, I'm going to give you a full 30 minutes still. I'm like, okay, good. And it really forced me to go, what's the one question that I want from this human that could change my listener's life?
Yeah.
And I asked that question. Like, start with that question.
It's such good advice. And, like pain. Pain is a great teacher. Okay, so here's a question. Out of those 7 steps in the framework, if you could only choose one, which one would it be? I know it's a hard question.
No, super simple question.
Which one?
Get radically clear. First habit of high performers, get radically clear. Don't start walking, don't start working, don't start doing until you're radically clear on what success looks like in your wealth or your health or your business or whatever it might be, but get radically clear.
So what are you going to get radically clear about now? You've done the book, you've got this amazing podcast. What are you radically clear on now, James?
Oh, thank you. So book 2 is underway. Beautiful. And so HarperCollins really enjoyed how the first book has went. And so book 2 is underway. And we're going to put a course together, the Habits of High Performers course. Because we're getting so many people going, James, I'd love to do a course in this. And I'm a visual and audio learner. And so that's the next kind of stage for us.
Fantastic. James, thank you for being such a generous gent, coming on our small wee show. I hope we've asked you okay questions.
Cynthia, you've been a rock star.
Well,
it's been amazing.
We try.
I loved it.
But if you can just speak to your man, Dan Pink, we'd be beautifully appreciative of that. James, thank you for doing all the great work you do and being so selfless coming on the show. I know you're in huge demand and you're everywhere. So thank you for making time and thanks for rewarding our listeners with some absolute gems, some real insights.
No, absolute pleasure. And continue to do the great work you're doing, St. John.
Thank you, sir. Hey you, hope you enjoyed this episode and you learned lots from it. It takes a wee bit of work to get these wonderful, amazing guests who are leaders in their own field on our tiny little show who share their knowledge with you freely and generously. So it makes a lot of sense for me to ask you a tiny, tiny favour in return, which is to rate, subscribe or share the podcast or grow this YouTube channel with your family, your friends or colleagues or anyone in your network that you think will benefit from listening or subscribing to it. The reason for my request is really, really simple. I'm on an absolute mission to elevate and improve the world's perception and therefore performance of rural sales reps and rural managers like yourself, which in turn helps every rural business owner or leader on the planet. I do that by doing my very best to share the most effective sales and marketing strategies with world-class leaders and thinkers so you can get the leads, respect and sales results you deserve. But I can only do that when you help me get this channel and our podcast out to a bigger, wider audience. And the bigger the audience, the better our guests are going to be. So if you can help us with that, that would be brilliant. Now, as you know, unlike other podcasts, we don't include any of those annoying ads that interrupt your listening experience. But I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't make sure that you grab a free copy of my How to Succeed in Rural Sales ebook, which would normally cost you $20 on Amazon. You get that for free as a subscriber or a podcast listener. or you can find out more about our rural sales team training or rural sales manager training programs. You can do all of this at our resources page, which is below the video here, which is www.ruralsalessuccess.com, where you can click on and download copies of my other books here. I have another book out last year based on Ryan Halliday's brilliant book, The Daily Stoic, and it's called 365 Rules to Master Rural Sales Success. So mastering yourself, mastering rural sales, and mastering rural sales management is kind of a 3-in-1. So make sure you get that as well. And also in the notes below here, you have an access to my free new AI training tool called Field Coach IO, which can talk to you and train you 24/7, anywhere, anytime zone. No lag, no waiting. Get answers that you need right there and then for the deals that you're working on. It's got all my IP inside its knowledge base, which is extensive. 13 years of IP that you're never going to access from the likes of Chat or Claude or Gemini or Grok. And you can instantly get access at a touch of a button with no waiting. You can, it will coach you or train you on your specific live sales scenario you're facing, whether it's pricing or timing objections, existing supplier, higher authority, farmers that have ghosted you on quotes, the specific questions you need to ask to make those conversations count. It will even analyze your sales calls for you to put you right where you might be going wrong, as well as map out your territories. It syncs to Google Maps and Google My Maps, and process your export leads from CRM to prioritize which leads you need to follow up with the highly hyper-specific, customized, relevant follow-up you need to get those deals, those dead deals revived in your CRM. So whatever you need, it's going to give you immediate specific answers, and you don't need to suffer or struggle whilst you wait for answers even from me. So immediate instant coaching right there and then, just when you need it. Or even talk to you in your truck as you're about in your territory, which is awesome, as long as you've got great internet coverage. So our members and Field Coach are absolutely loving what it's doing for me. So many more use cases I could bore you with sensors here, and my development team and me are adding new tools to it all the time. So you can take Field Coach for a spin, a 15-day test drive, and try it out, see it out for yourself for just $1. The link to Field Coach is in the notes below as well. So I personally want to thank you, my friend, my dear listener and subscriber, for sharing the show with others. Really, really appreciate that, because we can make a difference. It's hard, rural sales is hard enough. Thank you for investing your time with me and my guests, because I know you're super busy. It's very busy and noisy out there. You've got many choices and options where you choose to spend and invest your very valuable, precious time. So hope it's been time well spent for you, and you've learned something from us and our guests, and it's helping you become a better rep or manager, or you as a human being. Appreciate it and appreciate you.